Welcome back to the Premier March podcast. And today I have Sarah. She needs no introductions. She is the LinkedIn brand strategy queen, as I may call you. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. I'm amazing. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Same here. And we connected a couple of weeks ago. And I think that has how it has flourished over the years through LinkedIn and, just through connecting and posting and commenting on each other's posts. And look at us. We are here today. I mean, what an amazing place the online world can be, right?
Here we are, good old LinkedIn. If somebody would have told me that that would be my social media platform of choice, I probably would have laughed and been like, LinkedIn is boring, but it's like the coolest place ever.
Yeah. So, Sarah, what caught my attention was that in most of what we see online through the dental world is very stressful and boring, and people talking about, how their days are busy, they're not producing enough, just talking about a lot of challenges. And but when you post, it's completely different. It's a very personalized approach. And I mean, with your content, there's actually kind of like a personal connection that you feel. You actually feel like it's a real human talking, right? How were you able to break into a niche that was so saturated, so dry, and really build your place like that?
On accident, really. I have a heart tattoo on my wrist, so I literally wear my heart on my sleeve. I will tell anybody anything. And when I started my business and I started to use LinkedIn very sparingly, honestly, 1 week, I met with all of these industry partners and they were so nice to me and kind and giving me their time. And I wrote this LinkedIn post about how I felt like I'd won an award. And so I wrote like a fake acceptance speech, but the people that I was thanking was all of these amazing people that I met. And I put like, thank you to Margaret McGukin for helping me realize that I can do this. Like it wasn't just thanks to everybody and tagged them all. And that post was really what started it. And people reached out to me and were like, this is so great. And now I want to
Mm.
connect with this person because you told me I should connect. And I didn't even have like a following. And I think so that really kind of started it. But most of the time, people will come up to me and they won't mention anything about the great LinkedIn advice that I give them. They mention, wow, you made me feel XYZ when you shared this, and it made me feel like I wasn't alone. So I think it really just was the realization that people want to feel like we're not alone in the things that we experience. So I think it's important to share. People don't think they have important things to share, but we all do because so that's hopefully that answers the question, but it really was an accident. And then I just started to realize that people want to feel more like people and not like they're being sold to every day.
Absolutely. And with the kind of saturation that LinkedIn and especially the dental space has gotten on this platform, a lot of companies are competing for visibility, right? Even individuals are competing for visibility. So, and there's this real fear about being vulnerable because a lot of times we don't want to show off our weaknesses and our failures, and we'd rather just wait it out till we've really like made it to the other end, and then we can look back and talk about how great we were and how resilient we were and how much grit we showed. So but in the process they don't realize that that delay is actually costing them the trust that they can earn online, right? So tell me about, you told me about how you started, but tell me about how that momentum built over the years. How were you able to get into real conversations instead of being treated like just another company, just another, personal branding agency?
First of all, I really love how you put that we are afraid to be vulnerable. And why? Because I'm sorry. I don't want to be perfect. How boring is that? Like, I want to get to the end of this and be like, I fought hard. And this, I mean, I'm sure as you know, this is
Mm.
being an entrepreneur and having your own thing. It is a roller coaster and it is not easy. And I'm not saying that to scare people, but it's the truth. And so I would much rather get to the end of it and be like, I survived it versus that was no big deal. I just like got here because I'm me. Like, how boring is that? Um, but I think for me, what made the biggest difference and made it move a little bit faster was then I started, because before I started my business, I wanted to be a life coach, because I guess I feel like I have a lot of really great life experience and advice to give people. And I did use Instagram, and I started to do outward engagement and like talk to people in the community. Plus, it was right around COVID. So nobody was going anywhere. And when I brought that over with me to LinkedIn and I started to network with people or engage, that was when it really moved quickly. And it just dawned on me that, first of all, when we talk about our unique selling proposition as a company, it's us. You can put competitive companies next to each other, but if you have a me and a you, we're totally different. So we set, I believe, the people are what set the businesses apart, but really engaging with people, and that helped. But coming at it with the mindset of giving to give and not to receive. So giving the content, telling people how to do for themselves what they could hire you to do for them. I mean, talk
Mm.
about trust. It's like, wow, she's telling me how to do this myself. She's not telling me I need to hire her to do
Yeah.
this. Okay. And if they can do it, that's great. Let's cheer them on and be like super excited. And if they can't, then maybe they come and hire us, or they ask us questions about it. So really, I don't know, and being authentic. Not, I think one of the first things that somebody said to me, and I know I'm like rambling, but one of the first things someone said to me at a conference when they recognized me is they said, "You are exactly the way that I thought you would be based upon what you posted on LinkedIn." And I was just like, that's it. That's it. I don't need your money. I don't need your business. Like, just the fact that I'm doing that right. Like, that made a lot of difference. So being authentic and being willing to have those conversations, especially in our space, I think helps people move more quickly than they think they might be able to.
Yeah, and I completely agree, Sarah. I mean, I saw your post about your dad earlier today and how he was a fan of Star Trek and how he had a photo shoot in that costume. And honestly, I think that is what has built genuine connection, right? I mean, for anybody who may not know you, now they know you through that image or that picture of your dad, maybe. And I think many times what happens online is that we are so drawn into this fallacy that everybody has this aura and this image that they've created for themselves online. It's never picture perfect all the time. There's so many things that are going on behind the scenes that really just make us human and really just put us out there, and there's nothing to be afraid of, because end of the day it's how we deal with it that makes us who we are, right? So I love what you said there. And one thing that comes to my mind is basically just to ask you that when you talk about building genuine relationships, how do you do that at scale? I mean, it's easier to do it when it's like one or two contacts, a couple of people, but when you talk about doing that on a larger scale, how do you do it? How are you able to do it?
Well, that's a good question, because we constantly, have you ever accepted a connection request on LinkedIn, and you just know. I don't even know how we know, but you just know, like, this person is going to DM me and it's going to be super salesy. And then it is like, we could just
Yeah.
tell. And by the way, anybody who's listening, if that's part of your strategy, and I've met several people over the last couple of weeks who that is their strategy and they refuse to listen to me, I just want you to know lovingly that we don't like that in our industry. And I'm not saying that, like, dental, I'm sure most industries don't, but I do not know what it is about dental, but we just don't like that. And we'll hold on to that. We'll remember, like, I remember that you sent me that message and I don't like that. So I know it's not easy to do at scale, especially when a lot of my building of relationships is I remember stuff. This big company, I had dinner with them, and I remember one of their employees said that he wanted to have a Taco Bell wedding in Vegas. I want to go to a wedding that's all Taco Bell. Like, yes, please. And like, he reached out to me a year later now and he asked me a question. And I said, only if I get to go to your Taco Bell wedding. And he was so shocked that I remembered that. And so people want to feel like people. So I think to answer at scale, I definitely want to acknowledge that it's not easy because I feel like a lot of my success has been from like personalization and things like that. So getting to know people, remembering things, writing things down, almost like your Rolodex of like remembering if if we talk and the next time you and I had a conversation before we started recording about how amazing my stepmom is as a designer. Like if in 3 months you're like, hey, I remember thinking about that conversation that we had with your stepmom, who's an amazing designer. And it's like, you listen to me? That's so great. Especially if your clients are DSOs,
Hmm.
they have targets on their back. They all feel that way everywhere they go. It's kind of like, are you being my friend because you like me or because I'm a DSO? Like they don't really know that. So
Hmm.
I know I'm not answering it directly at scale. It's really a matter of spending the time and the resources to make sure that you're treating people like people and
Hmm.
not transactions. It has to be relational. So if that means you have a large sales team, everybody on your sales team should be using LinkedIn. I talk to salespeople and they're like, yeah, we have marketing. So we wait for marketing leads. And I'm like, don't you like money? Like, I don't know. You're in sales. You probably like to get money. So wouldn't you want to, I don't know, build your brand and like maybe produce like revenue for yourself without waiting for marketing? So at scale, I would say I would encourage people to make sure that their team is making it more relational instead of transactional. And every big company should have their entire, if they have enterprise sales or sales teams, they should all be on LinkedIn.
Yeah. And it also happens that it's all connected. I mean, marketing is not isolated. It's not something that works in a silo, right? It's all connected. People, sometimes when leads are coming in and they're not converting right away through that same channel, they may convert elsewhere because they saw you, they were able to relate to the content that you're putting out on. And that's what we call like an omnipresence, right? To be present everywhere and just make sure that you're showing your human self and not the salesperson that you are. Uh, Sarah, tell me, why did you pick LinkedIn and not any other platform?
I wish that I had some like
Hmm.
really super smart answer, but I think why did I start posting on LinkedIn? I don't even think that I knew that the dental space was there. I think one day I just thought I need to use it. And even people today, they'll say to me, our industry is not on LinkedIn, Sarah. DSOs are not on LinkedIn. Oh, all of you adorable little unicorns out there. Yes, they are. But I think there were a couple of like dental publications that were on LinkedIn, and I just thought I should use this as a platform. It took me a while to figure out like how to use it, like the ins and outs about your profile and your headline and those kinds of things. But it just started to become known to me that that was the place to be. And again, even so, when people say to me DSOs are not on LinkedIn, they 100% are. A 100 location DSO reached out to me on LinkedIn, their CEO, and he was like, hey, I see your content and I am looking to build our corporate brand. Is that something you can help me with? So, what's the first thing we do when we get a message like that? We go look at their profile. This man looked like a ghost. He didn't post anything. I don't even think that he had a headshot. I had to ask people, like, is this DSO real? Does this person exist? He's what I like to call, he's one of the people that I like to call the creepers, that just look and read and don't engage. And it's funny. We worked together for about a year and a half, and then even a couple of years later, I'll see him at a conference, and he's like, "I saw that you went kayaking, and that dog jumped in your kayak. That looked so fun." And I'm like, "Can you just like can you just act like you're on LinkedIn? Just like it. Just say something. So it's really interesting. And most of the time, again, people don't acknowledge or say anything about my LinkedIn content. They're like, wow, I can't believe, or thank you for sharing this on LinkedIn. So it was again an accident, but again, for it was an accident, but for anybody who wants to start using LinkedIn, I don't guarantee, I mean, we can't guarantee anything in marketing. And if anybody is in marketing and says that they're guaranteeing something, I would probably like wonder a little bit about that. But if there's one thing that I feel comfortable guaranteeing when it comes to the DSO space on LinkedIn, is if you use it consistently, posting and engaging, things will move quickly, way more quickly than you think, because LinkedIn is a big platform, but our industry is such a little baby part of it. So
Mm.
sorry, that was a long answer. I'm sorry.
No, no, I loved it. And which brings me to the next very interesting thing that you said about, how many locations this guy had, 100 locations. And so for somebody who's already skilled to that point, what brought him to thinking that, his next move should be building a brand on LinkedIn?
I wish more DSOs and executives really understood the importance of this. So I'll use my favorite example, Brad Hughes, CEO of Vision Dental Partners. He is he is such a strong brand. And I remember, I mean, the day that he came, not the day, but like one of the first times that I saw him on LinkedIn, and then he started posting consistently. Like he came out of nowhere, but I noticed him instantly. And one of the fascinating things that you told me at a recent conference was that, or he had won one of the awards for DSOs, emerging DSOs to watch in 2025. And there's this panel of like 8 different DSOs, might have 6 to 8. And they'd ask the question, how are you doing with hiring? And everybody goes down the line and says something, and they get to Brad. And he's like, I've done such a great job of building my brand that people approach me,
Mm.
associates, hygienists, those people that everybody else is struggling to hire, but it's because he's putting his brand out there and people can see it. And so this individual that had reached out to me, I feel like he was kind of an early adopter because this was a couple of years ago. And so I think he recognized that in regards to once you get to this big of a size, we should be building our brand. But I mean, it should be instantly, right away, because people think that your brand is just to attract clients or patients, but no, it's to retain them. It's to be appealing to acquisitions. If people see Brad Hughes, and if you and I were very modest young ladies and we're like, we don't plan on posting on social media, absolutely not, we would know right away, if we're going to sell our practice, it's not going to be to Brad Hughes, because Brad, one of his not prerequisites, but one of the things that he looks for when he purchases a practice is, are you going to build your brand? If you don't feel comfortable being on social media, then this is probably not a good fit. So I think people don't realize how much time you can save. My company brand is unicorns. I have a unicorn. Where is it? Lego that I made one day while I was like on a sales call. So if people are like, Sarah likes unicorns, that's so cheesy, I don't like that, we probably would not work well together. So you probably won't reach out to me. So like we just saved all this time. So I think he realized it early on, but I wish more people did. It's just, I think the thing holding people back from building their brand is fear of what are people going to think? What if I don't have anything important to say? What if people don't like my post? And all it really takes is one. What if
Yeah.
you hire one associate or one, it just depends. So
Yeah. And that is exactly the kind of conversation I had with Craig as well the other day. And it's not just about recruiting the kind of talent that you're looking for, it's also the kind of patients you want to attract. So once you have that kind of a, once your brand speaks about, the kind of practice you have, what kind of services you offer, what is your pricing like, what is your location. Naturally, you're going to filter out a lot of people who may not be a good fit, who may otherwise come in and then leave because you are not the right fit for them, and they would just look at you online. And I think the socials are the new Google. I mean, they're the new landing pages, they're the new websites because they bring your authentic self out. And I think that's what Dr. Brad is doing. And that is what a lot of these doctors on even TikTok, Instagram are doing now. So great answer, Sarah. We're gonna have like a couple more questions for you. What do you think most vendors and most practices misunderstand when it comes to building DSO partnerships?
When it comes to DSO partnerships in regards to like how to handle them, how to start them, like
Yeah,
or all of the
both.
above, both. Well, as far as on the vendor side, and that's who I primarily work with, I feel like because the sales cycle with DSOs is so long that I feel like sometimes the salespeople feel sales team members. I don't want to say salespeople. That sounds so like I don't know. I think they feel like they have not that they have to be pushy, but they're like, I've got like one shot. Like I've got to make sure that I do this. And I think because they feel that way, they actually I'll say it this way. And I was talking to somebody about this the other day who is a salesperson on a team who works with DSOs. And we talked about active listening. And when you feel like you have like one shot, you usually do a lot of talking like okay I'm going to convince you and so I'm just going to like say all these things versus like well tell me doctor what is your like what well first of all like get to know them a little bit what are the things what are your pain points what would you love to see different in your practice or in your DSO and I think asking questions and being curious is a not a talent, not a personality trait, but something that we don't do enough of, I think. And so really, because people, when individuals come from outside the dental industry, and I try to explain to them about dentistry, like I talked to somebody yesterday, and he's like, "All I do is I talk about technology, technology, technology," and I was like, "Sir." I don't really think people are going to care about how much you know about technology if they don't think that you understand them and what they're going through. And sure, what dental practices go through might be the same as vet and optometry, but we don't think that. I'm not going to date somebody and this guy be like, well, you're just like every other girl. Actually, I'm not. Thank you. I'm unique, just like dental is unique. It's funny, I always bring up dating analogies, but I think being curious, active listening, and really coming at this from a partnership perspective, as well as, and I don't know if I don't know why I feel compelled to say this, but probably because I posted about this the other day too, but collaboration over competition, I think really speaks volumes. Well, yeah, I speaking of Brad Hughes, I used his team, the Hoosiers won, and I know I'm not a big like sports fan, so I know this is like huge to him. And so I used his part of his video as a meme yesterday, and it said when in fact like you want people to win and then they actually do and it's him being excited. There's so many people in our industry that come from an abundance mindset and the ones that come from a competition mindset that are like I'm not going to I don't want to congratulate them or engage in their content. They're my competition.
Mm,
There's enough to go around for everybody. And I'm sorry,
absolutely.
if you do comment on your competition's content, like that kind of says a lot about you too. That kind of says like I'm not afraid. Congratulations, that's amazing. Versus no way, I'm not going to support you. So I think I know that again was a really long answer. So hopefully that was helpful.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you for sharing such valuable notes with us. And hopefully, somebody out there who's listening to it is gonna hop onto LinkedIn and start their branding today. And
Just
Yeah, and try not to be salesy. Try to bring out your authentic self. And that is also a note for me to take home from this conversation as well, because I try and talk a lot about strategy and business and number and data, but I think I need to also talk a little about my kids and our vacation and how chaotic it is in the mornings and how peaceful it is when they're in bed late at night. And that's when I think about my posts, and that's when I'm just scheduling them for the next day. I'm not writing them at 8 in the morning. So thank you so much. It was lovely connecting with you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna